Beta 10.5 on assertive mode. We're going to come out into a boulevard. There's no traffic from the left. We have a car coming from the right. It's going to wait for it. It's crept out into the road a little bit, gets into the middle, and then makes a smooth left turn. It's going to proceed to that stop sign ahead, does a creeping roll, no traffic to the left, and makes a smooth right turn. It comes into this stoplight pretty aggressively, a little faster than in previous iterations, but makes a smooth right turn. So no real problems with this one. At this stop light coming up, it's going to change into a right arrow light. The car is going to then sense that, move into a smooth right turn. Now, across these railroad tracks ahead, we're going to make a left turn. So the car ideally would have gotten into the left lane, but wants to stay in this right lane all the time. So the car back to my left is, the car wanted to get over, I took over. You can see that car changed red. So the car needs to do a better job of predicting what lane it needs to be in. I see this happen a lot. Re-engage, I'm able to get into the turn lane. So now this does have an arrow, but a human driver would inch out into the yellow and make the left onto the yellow. So the car is not going to do that. So I'm still too far back. I probably would have crept up as a human right to where I am now. Light changes yellow, so I take over because I have traffic behind me and the car would have sat there through that red light. The car is now going to creep up. It's got an obstruction a little bit to the left. Now there's a car coming from my left and the car decides it thinks it can make it, so I take over and intervene. We'll see this car pass by. The car is so unpredictable if it's going to try and go for it or not. And in situations like this, I have no confidence the car could have gotten in front of this car and done it quickly. So it's just hit or miss with these kind of lefts and right turns at this point. I'm going to switch it to calibrate the cameras. So if you want to know how long it takes to do this, it took about an hour to do it for the FSD Beta to come back and be available again. We need to creep out a little bit more to see if we can make a right turn. This is a lot of traffic coming by and I don't have anybody behind me, so I'm going to see if the car can do this. Now I do have a gap that it could have made, but the car, like we saw a few seconds ago, decided I was going to go with the car coming. Now with absolutely nobody coming, the car has decided does not want to go. So now you can see on the display, I've got cars coming up from my behind. And when I do have an opportunity to make a right turn, I'm afraid this car is not going to be aggressive enough and do it. So I don't want to aggravate people. So after this next car goes by, I'm going to take over and make the right turn because, again, I just can't trust Beta to yet be aggressive in the right situations when it needs to be. The guy came out from the left. The car did a nice job of handling and slowing down, letting that person in. Here's another example of the car trying to plan its turn. We're going to go down about a quarter mile and get on the interstate. But luckily, in some ways, this rush hour traffic probably helped us because it gave us some time for the car to find an entry into the right lane. The car seems to be the Dunner-Kruger effect of driving, where it overestimates its capabilities. So we'll see the turn signal come on a couple of times and back off as it searches for a slot in the right lane. It's going to speed up here nicely, get a little more aggressive, and then switch over to the right lane. So this is good. It gets us into position to make this turn onto the interstate. In the past, when I had done this one time, a car coming in from the right, I was parallel with that car, then Beta got stuck and it couldn't get over. It couldn't slow down or speed up in time, so it actually missed this on-ramp. So this time I was lucky, there were no cars to impede that, so it got onto the ramp. But unfortunately, this was not a great experience getting back onto the interstate. It starts to slow down on this ramp instead of keeping up its speed. Maybe it's a mapping issue, but a human would not have slowed down this much. And if I had somebody behind me, that would not have been good. So does a pretty good job. It's up to 35 miles an hour, but once it gets through the bulk of this turn, now all of a sudden it's slowing back down again. And while it doesn't seem on the video, it seems like this is glacially slow when you're driving. I don't know if it's sensing this cars that are passing me back here was slowing down for them, but it really should have been much more aggressive. So this was not a great merging onto the interstate. Then as we see, of course, the stack goes away. Here's an example of, again, not being able to trust Beta. It's going to take off and make a right turn, but there was a car coming from now behind me, and I just could not be confident that Beta was going to be aggressive enough, so I took over and hit the accelerator pedal. Coming up, we're going to have double left turns. There's too much of a gap here. I had to press the accelerator, but we'll see this van to my Mac left go red. The car tried to swerve into the left lane, so I took over. It's always hard to tell when it makes those little jerky movements to the left or right. Is it correcting itself over the lane, or is it really going to try and get over? So just out of caution, I took over. But I kind of think that in this case, Beta was the problem. Making this unprotected left without the turn signal, I get a lot of jerkiness from the steering wheel. And about here, it started to jerk left, and it made me nervous. And I yanked the steering wheel back to the right. We'll see that I take back over, re-engage FSD, and try and wait to see if the car can make this left turn. I get a lot of jerkiness with the steering wheel, but now I've got people pulling it behind me, so I really don't want to let this go and just have FSD again make one of those turns where it just dawdles and doesn't make an aggressive turn. So after these cars go, I'm going to press the accelerated pedal just to clear this intersection and not to aggravate somebody back behind me. So again, it's hit or miss with these lefts and rights if it's going to do it well or not do it well at all. Here's actually make a last turn of the night. Really nice, smooth, aggressive right turn to at least end the night positively.